Uh-oh.
Hello. Can you hear us? Are we coming through?
Yes. Sorry, we haven't any mic, but it's okay now. So hi.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Is the sound okay? Are you listening? Are you hearing us? Okay.
Yes.
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 Okay.
Can you hear us? I think our microphone should be positioned.
Can you put the mic more with you?
Closer.
Let's see. Is this any better?
Yes, better.
Too loud?
Okay. We are going to make an introduction, and then we will begin with the question. Right? Okay. So
yes, perfect.
Okay. I'm talking to the technicians. Avant, on peut pas. Je vais faire une intro, juste, je change de son. Ouais. Je les présente pas. Okay, we are clap.
Action.
So, hello, Marcy Merola and Joaquin Falcon. Nice to have you with us for this. They told me action 2.
Cut.
Okay. Okay. So, hello, Marcy Merola and Joaquin Falcon to be with us today for this interview. So we would like to speak with you about advocacy. And for beginning, we would like to know what about your job? In other words, could you describe a typical day of a communication specialist at your office for library advocacy at ALA?
Of course.
Well, thank you for having us. Thank you for your interest in ALA and the advocacy office. Our day varies from we do many different things on a single day. One of the things that is, we work with many of the presidents. Every year, ALA elects a president, and they have various initiatives, and a lot of times the initiatives are about advocacy, so this office takes care of those. So we work on some initiatives. We have a lot of meetings. We like to have meetings here at ALA, that is for sure.
They're very important.
Yes. And we also do a lot of work with libraries in crisis, libraries that are facing budget cuts or layoffs. I do a lot of work with school librarians in particular. That's an area in the United States that is suffering quite a bit. There's been a lot of layoffs of school librarians. We try to create more resources and information for librarians to use so they can fight a better fight for funding and legislation. And so we do a lot of strategizing, a lot of partnering with other areas, other offices in the organization, and with other organizations outside of ALA as well.
And we're a clearinghouse and propose of information and resources for libraries and librarians of all types across the country and across the world, actually.
Okay.
So we have a lot of materials, resources, documents, etc.
And are you the same job? Have you the same position?
I didn't get that.
Your audio cut out just a bit. Would you mind asking the question again?
Sorry. Do you have the same position? Are you doing the same work, the same task?
No, Marcy is the director for the Office for Library Advocacy. So Marcy is our fearless leader. So Marcy actually responds to calls from librarians across the country several times a week, depending on the situation.
Joaquin's doing most of the work. You know, he's doing more of the technical stuff. You know, setting up this call with you, working on our website. We do a website for the public called ilovelibraries.org. So he's sort of the an editor there, so he's collecting articles, publishing them. We get an e-newsletter, electronic newsletter out. But a lot of our work is, because we're so small, we end up doing a lot of the same work. We have different expertise in different areas, but there's a lot of overlap because we have to work as a team so much. Yeah.
And then, of course, we work with the rest of the associations as well in conjunction with other offices, depending on the situation at hand or the project at hand, for that matter.
All right. And is there someone else in your team, or you are just the both of you?
We are the 2 full-time staff. It's very small. ALA has, we have, I think, about 250 employees in the entire association. The headquarters is in Chicago, and then we have an office in Washington, D.C. that works on federal lobbying issues, and we have an office in Philadelphia that works with our library trustees and friends groups, volunteers, and a publishing. We do a magazine called Choice for reviewing, and they're in Connecticut. So altogether, we have about 250 people. So it's just us 2, and then we hire freelance people to do different particular projects, writers or researchers. And then in our larger department, we are under the communications umbrella. So we have an office that deals with all of our chapters in every state. We have particular, every ALA is the national organization, but then in every state in the U.S. we have a chapter, a state office. So we have an office. So we kind of have this hierarchy that goes to the local level. And so in our department, we have advocacy, the chapter relations, we have our public awareness office, membership, all of the communications aspects are housed within our larger department. So we have a small office, but there is this larger web of support.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So I continue on this subject of advocacy office, and we would like to know, since when ALA is being concerned with advocacy. Are you dealing with, I don't know, marketing library before doing some advocacy of libraries, or yes?
Well, I think you have a couple questions going on there, and I'll start with talking about the history of the advocacy office. So, as I mentioned, we have an office in Washington, D.C., but they deal with federal issues, whether it's about censorship, money, broadband, all of these topics. And they've been around for about 30 years or so. But this office started in 2007. I worked in the public information office, so doing more communications for advocacy there. And so the thing is established for federal work, but in truth, the amount of funding that comes from the federal level is only about 4% in the United States. The bulk of the funding streams come from the state level, and then mostly the cities and towns or counties. So it's state and local is really where the activity is. And the association realized that we didn't have enough support at the state and local level. So what happens at the national level is very important because it sets a precedent for the rest of the country, but we needed more support at the state and local level. So I'd started at ALA in 2001 and worked there in the public information office for 6 years, kind of building up this office. And then in 2007 it was launched. So we've really been around only the past 7 years. It's the newest office at ALA.
Newest and smallest, and Marcy was the advocacy trailblazer here.
Well, I don't know about
she is.
So and it is just in time, because I think there's always been a struggle for funding no matter what. I don't think everyone talks about the good old days, but I think there were never any good old days. It was always a fight for funding, always work to build a new library. But as our economy has gone downhill, libraries are often the first to get cut. We think they're as important as the police department and the fire department, and our job is to convince mayors and the people in charge that is the case. So we're doing a lot of work in that area. So the timing is definitely good. And then you asked about marketing. I like to make a distinction when we're talking about advocacy. I think librarians are trained to talk about the services, what we do in our libraries, the services we provide to our patrons. And I think when I think of marketing, I think about targeting services to people. But when when I think about advocacy, I think about not necessarily targeting services, but the value of the library, what the library brings to a community, brings to your school, brings to a university. It's not so much, because if maybe you will not convert somebody to become a library user, a library patron, but you want, whether they use the library or not, you still want them to be a supporter. You need them to understand why the library is valuable in your town, in your campus, whatever. So so I think when we're talking about advocacy, we're talking more about the value of the library. So it's not exactly marketing. There are still principles of marketing that are applied, like you really have to know your audience and know what's going to motivate them to take action or to support you or whatever. So there are some definite elements that are similar, but it's not the same as marketing. So there's that. Did I answer those questions?
No, that's perfect.
Good.
So now our second topic. What about the Snapshot Day precisely? Since when, why, or who, and who is working on this project?
Snapshot Day?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The Library Snapshot Day originally started in the state of New Jersey as a joint effort between the New Jersey Library Association and the New Jersey State Library. It was started by a very sharp librarian named Peggy Cadigan. And really, these librarians realized that just by going in and taking an audit one day, or a snapshot, if you will, of one day at your library, really shows just shows the value, as we were speaking about earlier, of the services that a library provides in every single day. Anything from how many books were checked out, how many people were helped at the reference desk, how many people applied for a job within one certain day, how many people got help doing their taxes or with their homework. It's just an initiative that if you take just one day and you realize how much work libraries and librarians do for the community, then you can take those results and show them to legislators, stakeholders, anybody who's got who might ever question the value of a library, and say, look, this is one day, multiply this by 364 days a year, and it's an invaluable resource. So it really provides a way for libraries across a state, region, system, or community to show what happens in a single day at their libraries.
So so the beauty is that it's a very easy initiative to execute. So the statistics that Joaquin is mentioning are statistics that libraries are normally collecting anyway, but they don't do anything with them. They don't share that information with people. So first you have something that's very easy to quantify because you're already doing it. They had an initiative. They made an announcement. Or the libraries would do that, and libraries across the state would do this all in the same day. So they were able to show the impact of libraries across the entire state. I mean, it might be significant in one library, but if you multiply it by every city or every library, the numbers get really large. And they alerted people ahead of time. They had, so that the entire library staff could be involved in whatever way. Just knowing that this thing was happening on a day, they had celebrations, and they had like coffee or cake, or they did, they turned it into sort of a party. They gave everyone had either had cameras on their telephones or they had their own cameras. and took a lot of pictures. That's the term snapshot, meaning like a photo snapshot. But the thing about Snapshot Day was you had statistics that you pulled from your normal activities. You had photos, and then you asked they asked patrons to tell stories, like to give a few words, either video or written down, about what the library means to them, why they love their library. And so this created a very robust package to show legislators and decision makers. So libraries, they took that information and used it for annual reports, for budget presentations, for flyers and posters in the community, pictures of kids reading, photos of activity at the library, coupled with statistics about usage, and then an overarching message about please support your library, or this is what your library is doing across the state in a single day. So it became a very easy initiative for libraries to do. And so the folks from New Jersey came to one of our meetings at our national conference and talked about it. People were so excited they asked us to execute it nationally. So we created an online toolkit, and we launched it at a national level. And so far we've had 41 states get involved, 41 out of 50, which is really good for us, because we have lots of initiatives all the time, and we're always pushing things out to the public, so or to our libraries. So the fact that 41 states got involved showed that there was a need, I think, and that it was a really easy initiative to execute. We wanted to do an internet. People were very excited from our international relations department and so forth, and they wanted to do an international Snapshot Day. Like, wouldn't it be amazing to have libraries around the country report what happens in a single day, and libraries around the whole world? But the logistics would be insane. The logistics would be too difficult.
Yes, and as the campaign developed as well, the ALA adopted it in 2010. It initially started off, we were saying, it was going to be one day in April. And it turned out that not all libraries, it wasn't the best day for libraries to do this one day in April. So as the campaign progressed, we encouraged libraries to do it on whatever day works best for them. Some libraries actually do ask their participating libraries to do their Snapshot Day within a single week. For example, this April in Massachusetts, they had Library Snapshot Week throughout the state between April 7th through 12th. Within that week, 157 different libraries participated, and they all sent in the results to the Massachusetts State Library, who then in turn submitted one of the forms that we developed, which is right here, and it's just very, very simple.
It's very high tech.
Very high tech, yes. It's how many people visited the library, what was the total circulation for the day, how many people used computers, how many job seekers were helped, how many people were taught computer skills, how many library cards were issued. Just very simple things that librarians are doing anyway. It's just a way to show everyone the hard work that's being put in. So, yes, the campaign's definitely evolved, and we'll also encourage libraries to do it, hold their Snapshot Day in conjunction with holidays or school holidays. Some libraries, especially school libraries, love doing their Snapshot Day on Halloween, when they have all the kids dress up and they come into the library. It's also a great photo opportunity. You've got kids dressed as werewolves and checking out books and using computers. And it's just another good way to showcase what libraries do. So.
Great. Yes, thank you. What is your ELA involvement in each Snapshot Day? Are you involved before, during, or after the event?
Well, we provide mainly resources and information for libraries that want to host their Snapshot Day. So for example, we have a Library Snapshot Day primer, which is sort of a toolkit. So if you're a library in, let's say, Kansas, and you've never done a Snapshot Day before, you can go to our information pages at our Advocacy University and download an entire step-by-step kit of how to host your Snapshot Day, from anything from getting some community support, how to start your own Snapshot Day web page or wiki page, information that you should be trying to collect, how to get community buy-in. It's a very simple process. So while we're not coordinating library days in state by state, we're providing the resources for anybody who would like to do so.
We tried at first. We launched it and then wanted to do a national snapshot day. So we had a short window between. We talked to folks in our research office, and they said that we could do sort of like a month. Like if we were able to showcase, if libraries around the country did it within a particular, like April, we would be able to report back, it would still make sense to say, like, here's what's happening in a certain day. Like our researchers worked out a way to a way that they thought would pass, would be acceptable, even though it wasn't actually on a particular day. But what we've learned over the years is that, some organizations want to do it with other events, as Joaquin was saying. So we've kind of given up on the idea of doing a national snapshot day. And that's why we kind of gave up on the international snapshot day, too, because we can't even do it in the States. There's no way we can coordinate through the continent or the world. But so it's really become much more of a local effort.
Yes, and then after a library has done their snapshot day, obviously they submit their information and statistics to us, which we can use for future reference for a variety of different applications.
And in the United States, we have we have disclaimer forms because to use minors, children's information or photos for promotional materials, you have to get permission of the parents. So on the toolkit online, we have sampled forms, permission forms and stuff like that. So it's a very in-depth resource to really walk people through step by step.
Right, and really individual states and their libraries have just embrace this. They'll set up their own Flickr pages for showing photo collections taken during snapshot days. Several different university libraries have actually taken short videos of students in their libraries talking about how the library is important to them. You can find those across YouTube. But those are always really a lot of fun because you can tell that the students have a good time shooting the videos and editing them and just talking about the role the library plays in their lives every day as a student. So yes. So we're more snapshot day facilitators than anything else. Enablers.
That's a good job. We are going to the next topic. So it's about the assessment, the evaluation of the snapshot day. How do you evaluate, how do you assess the results of these events? The results for the librarians, the results for the publics, the results for journalists, and also for, of course, politicians, institutions, and I don't know.
So, well, one of the issues we have with data is that, like right now, when we're collecting, when resources are, when organizations and national institutions and government organizations are collecting data about libraries, it takes a couple years to process. So we've just gotten information like last week about 2011 statistics. So, if we're trying to make a case to reporters, for media about what's happening in libraries today, it's hard to have, real statistics. So what Snapshot Day allows is more anecdotal information. So you can, it's not from a government agency that is like the official number, but a library can easily talk about what's happening at the local level based on the numbers they're collecting. So it makes it a very, so when, especially if there's a crisis or if there's a need for a library to do some advocacy work, sometimes it's hard to gather statistics at the last minute because they're outdated, because it's this big research module and stuff. So Snapshot Day makes it very simple to come in, collect some information, and be able to use that for your own, media outreach, for your own testimony and advocacy work. So, we haven't really used the snapshot data mainly because it's anecdotal. We haven't come out and used it like in our reports. We haven't talked about it from a national perspective. We've really let the libraries do it at a local level. So some of the things we've seen are annual reports at the end of the year. Libraries are talking about what's happening. They use a lot of the photos and a lot of the stories, a lot of the testimony in their annual reports. A lot of marketing materials that go up and public awareness materials that go up use photos and stories from Snapshot Day. So they're really using that. They've got this sort of, warehouse of information, stories, data that they can apply for their local needs, whether it's going to City Hall and making a budget presentation, whether it's appealing to their board of trustees, or putting information in flyers and stuff like that. So
it also puts just a very local friendly face on something. If the library director is appealing for just to maintain his or her library budget, and they can go to the city council and show pictures of kids checking out books, or senior citizens learning how to use a computer for the first time. It's different than just showing outdated numbers, like Marcy was saying. This is your library at work. These are your tax dollars performing services for the community every single day.
It personalizes the numbers.
So it adds the human touch.
I could imagine a mayor saying, yes, but it's one day. The Snapshot Day is one day.
Yes.
So don't the mayor say, yes, but it's one day. It's not every day like this in the library?
Oh, certainly, not every single day is Snapshot Day, but honestly, a Snapshot Day is an average day at a library. Maybe on an official Snapshot Day, traffic numbers are up a little bit. However, your mayor is not in the library every single day, so they don't see the work that's being done every single day. So I think it's actually an unfair comparison to say this is just a promotion, because no, this is the work that people do in the library.
So when they pitch it, they say on an average day. So they talk about what happens on an average day. This is what's happening inside the library or across your state. So it's not. So I think it kind of gives some context to the numbers.
And do you think that advocacy, since you are doing some advocacy since 2007, do you notice some change in, I don't know, the library value pitches about things like that, how we speak about libraries, how librarians speak about themselves, how politicians speak about libraries? Do you notice something? Something is changing since 7 years?
Well, I think what we've seen is definitely a decrease in funding. Numbers are going down, but awareness is going up. We know that in times of economic downturn, when the economy is bad and people are out of work, library usage goes up. And so it hasn't been a good combination. It hasn't been a good trend. But what we also have seen is that citizens, people, patrons are really standing up and fighting for their libraries more and more. I mean, they value their library, and if the library doors are closing or the hours are being cut, they're really willing to make some noise and get involved. And we're seeing this in public libraries and school libraries. We're seeing a lot of involved parents and a lot of involved teachers that are really really fighting. So I think that is sort of the silver lining of what's happening, is that we are recognizing how the interest and love of libraries that exists here in the United States. If librarians themselves speak up and talk about the value of libraries, it's great, but it's almost sounds self-serving, like we're trying to preserve our job, we're trying to save. So to have a third party, to have the people that use the library speak up is so, so important. And so what's happening is because we have this local grassroots level, advocacy happening, it's making leaders, mayors and governors and people in charge think twice about the cutting resources for the library. So it hasn't been the best time, but it's been a great opportunity for advocacy and for getting organized.
Yeah, and one other note is I think in the last few years, librarians of all types have really realized that become advocates themselves. Advocacy is part of the job now. You can't be passive. It's a necessary skill, necessary activity.
And we're finding that more and more in library schools, that they're teaching more and more advocacy skills at the library school level.
Very interesting. I think we have to speak together.
So.
I think we're okay. I think it's okay. We don't have any question anymore. Maybe do you have something you want to tell us? I don't know, to French people who are going to listen to you during this day, the day of the conference. You want to say something about advocacy or?
Well, like they were saying, we are all library advocates. We also have a great collection of online resources. This is a little low-tech, but this is Advocacy University. So we've got information on anything from Snapshot Day to our current initiative, the Declaration for the Right to Libraries tier. You can find our Library Advocates Handbook on this website. Interesting talking points like the quotable facts for America's libraries that the Office for Library Advocacy develops. These are just very user-friendly resources that libraries and librarians of all types from all over the world are available to use. So we would love to see everyone log in onto the site. And
so you'll send the URLs, we'll send you the information. But we do need to mention our newest initiative. ALA President Barbara Stripling would be very upset if I did not mention the Declaration for the Right to Libraries initiative, and I do have a handout too. You can see this is our fabulous declaration. You can find this online, and it talks about some of the basic tenets of what libraries do. Some of the more soft kind of benefits that we don't really talk about a lot. Things about how libraries empower the individual, or libraries strengthen families, and libraries provide equal access to information. These are the things that I think drive so many people to the profession in the United States, but they're kind of, by the time you get in your job, you really don't talk about them anymore. So people have really embraced this initiative. They've hosted these signings, like where people get together and sign the declaration and talk about the value, and librarians take people on tours of the library at that time, and not patrons necessarily, but your mayors, your people in charge that that can influence the fate of your library. So it's been a really there's an online version. We've got over 100,000 signatures. We've done trainings all over the country, or signings all over the country. So it's been translated into a bunch of different languages, not French yet, but maybe librarians have done the translations for us. So maybe you'll be interested in doing that in French. But I urge you to take a look at it online. There's some great information there.
And I'll email you all the links and URLs that we discussed today. So.
Okay, so thank you for this interview, and see you soon. Bye.
Great. Thank you so much for having us.
Now the video is off, and I
Oh.
really want to thank the interview.